Evening, everybody. Glad to be back. Glad to be back in the UK again as well. Looks like I dodged an absolute bullet in Japan. I spent the last few days of my trip in Niigata, and I was tackling some snow, probably around half a meter up in the mountains. But I think it was Monday evening. They've been hit with over a meter overnight. I think it's about 1.2 meters in some places. So, oh God, it's even ground Nagaoka to a halt, and them guys are absolutely phenomenal at dealing with the snow. So, dodged a bullet there for sure. So, a couple of bits to catch up on first. You're going to have to excuse me again. The dreaded cough is back. I think it's something that's just trying to take the whole team down, to be honest with you, at work and at home. Got the wife rather ill at the minute. The daughter's been terrible while I've been in Japan, which the wife wasn't happy about. So, nuisance, absolute nuisance. No, I didn't spend any money, actually, Dave. Comment there. I got some nice bits of stock, but it was mainly clients' fish you've possibly been having a look at there, who, got some mighty impressive pieces. So first few bits to catch up on. So we're going to be having, you probably noticed we didn't have an auction this week. Chris is taking a week off, and therefore he was manic while I was away, so we didn't get anything prepped. But basically, we're going to be this week and next week. We're not going to be doing anything. We're not going to be doing question time next week as well. A bit of a Christmas break, and just going to give us chance. Obviously, the auction, a whole new process. So we're just going to a few bit of tweaking behind the scene that we want to do before we resume those in the new year. So, other than that, they've been great. They're loving the support from everyone. And I think it seems that everybody's enjoying them as well. So, I've got one update on we're going to be doing a separate update on these in a video, but the N&D mud pond fish, I've been working through, so I've had like 4 or 5 shipments on the go. I've been working through they're going to be here early part of the new year for everybody. And we're also, because the timing of getting them in and what's not, we're going to overwinter those free of charge for everybody as well. So they'll be quarantined, ready to pick up in the spring. But like I say, we're going to get more info out on that in a separate video, along with the actual harvest video, because we had a bit of an issue with the footage that we've recovered and got over that now. So we're going to start stitching that together to get the actual harvest video out for everybody to enjoy. We've got Crafty Koi in the house tonight, joining me in a little bit. We're just having a bit of a chat sort of backstage then. And I think he was afraid he was going to catch me out with a name he couldn't even produce. Love that. So, possibly interesting topic coming there. Glad to get him involved as well. And one more coming up. So we're actually working on something quite special at the minute with a YouTuber who's quite familiar on the channel. He's approached me through one of my dealers asking to put an event together if we can. And I've got the perfect batch of fish, and we're really going to go to town on this. So this is basically like an advanced warning that should any of you be lucky enough to get some koi money in your stocking for Christmas, keep it, because we're hoping to get the announcement out between Christmas and the new year for what's going to be going on with this, and it's pretty awesome, to be honest with you. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Great opportunity, and should be a great event collaborating all together. So we'll wait and see. I've been in Japan for the past week, looking at some pretty spectacular fish. Really blown away. It sold some absolutely amazing pieces to clients, and I have got a few videos to share with you as we go along. One's going to tie in. I managed to spend some time at Sakai, the Sakai in Hiroshima, and that place just blows my mind every time. It is a bubble down there. You know what's happening with sort of prices and everything going on. It's absolutely insane, which has led me to this morning actually managing to get a box, which has officially become the single most expensive box of fish I will have ever bought in all the time I've been doing this. And it's a box of 80 Karashigoi from the original Sakai Mango lineage. I can't even believe I'm saying that, to be honest. But such is the competition for these things. I know the negotiations for these has been going on for a while. And all because, again, he was waiting to see what kind of prices they commanded in the auctions, all the rest of it. So, you know, these fish from these lineages, demand is just so phenomenal down there that it's to a point where they can pretty much charge what he wants for them because there's not an endless supply. So, yeah, I've got a couple of videos stashed up. One that I took at Omasako, a walk around I did at Sakai, just for you guys to get a little idea of the sort of scale the farm's actually operating at. And then, yeah, nice little shot of the monster pond at Momotaro, because, again, managed to get there, hand-selected some Tosai, which was really nice. And, yeah, I think a very, very... again, it's a mega farm. There's lots going on there, so it's always nice to see these things. Yeah, so before we get Crafty on, I would appreciate it if you could hit like, hit share, subscribe if you're on YouTube, all the rest of it, just to drive these videos out in front of as many people as we can. And yeah, before I cough my guts up, let's get Crafty in and yeah, see what he's got to quiz me with. How we doing, buddy?
Oh, what's we on?
You got your tongue around it yet?
Yeah, mate. I've just got my tongue in that. It's like
I've still not. I've not seen mine yet. Apparently, I've got one somewhere.
Yeah, I know he sent you one without a handle on it.
Be about right.
So, how you doing, mate? You well?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, really good, mate. Really good. Got loads on. So
that's good.
Still waiting for me glass to arrive, so I can finish my pond. It's supposed to be here today.
Yeah.
But rather than being delivered to me, it got delivered to the distributor. So I'll have to reorganise a date for that.
Oh, so fingers crossed soon, mate. You know, lovely looking binders in background there, I can see.
Like them. Oh, it's that one, isn't it? Yeah. Cool, isn't they? What I'll plug for you, mate.
Look lovely. Yeah. Happy days. Happy days. So just before we get into it, buddy, I just want to, because obviously you came on a while back and we sort of had a really good chat afterwards before we got, and I was quite inspired by your sort of history, some of the mental health. I hope you don't mind me talking about it.
No, definitely not, mate. It's good to talk, mate. It's good to
talk. From all the vet stuff, and you know, in the past I've had a few struggles myself and bits and bobs. So yeah, I felt quite and talking about the sort of lack of help and support that's out there, which I find, you know, given the background of what everyone, you know, such as yourselves done for the country, it's yeah, pretty frustrating, to be honest with you, that, you know, the help's not as accessible probably as it should be. So yeah, from that and the fact of you always seem to be out there, you know, helping out when you can in them auctions and all the rest of it, which I really appreciate. So yeah, for everyone watching, I offered Crafty to come up to mine and do a bit of filming to produce some nice content for his channel. But the main reason for doing that is I want him to come and select a fish from one of my ponds to either, we don't know what yet, auction, raffle, whatever it is, to get it off and donate all of the proceeds to the charity of your choosing, hopefully obviously linked to the vets or something like that. I'm not sure what's going on, but yeah, it'd be I think that'd be great if we can pull that off.
Yeah, so do I, mate. And I just want to say thanks for the generosity on that.
Pleasure.
So with that, I know it's going to be a charity piece. I already know where it's going to go because a lot of people link military charities to the likes of Help for Heroes or the Poppy Appeal, etc. So they tend to get a hell of a lot of help from everyone, including civilians that don't really have any sort of affiliation to the military, just for their show of support, which is brilliant. But the charity will be SAFA, which is one that's not quite so well known, but actually I found that they're one of the best. And some of my friends that were injured in Afghanistan and given weeks to live through illnesses and stuff after they've come away, they have stepped up to the mark and I helped so much. Nice. It'd be nice to give back to them because they've actually affected people that I know personally. So
yeah, amazing.
That's where I'd like to go, Ricky. But we'll share them details later on. So.
Absolutely, we'll decide all the rest, but the idea is there. Hopefully, we can tie some up between Christmas and New Year and get it done. But yeah, that's I feel like that's one well worth supporting personally.
Yeah, me too. And Are you happy for me to drop a clanger on a BKKS thing?
Go for it.
Yeah. So I've emailed BKKS with regards to setting up a section. Because where I live out in Northamptonshire, there is no section anywhere major close, and I'd have to travel over to the Midlands and stuff like that with regards to the Koi Club. So I emailed into, I think it was Rob, and asked about setting up a section for military only. Because with tri-services being the Army, Navy, Air Force, I know that there's a lot of military guys, like through networking at some of the shows, etc. The amount of people out there that have actually done a little bit of military service or even a full career in it, that move into Koi is phenomenal. So there's still a little bit of politics I've got to clear up. But if anybody's interested, go onto my channel. I have got my email address in my About Me channel. On the tab, drop me an email of where you are, etc. So I can then propose that over to the BKKS to show the interest as well. Because what would be good about it is, outside of being regional, because I could set up a section that would be pretty much UK based, we can pretty much put shows on around the country. So because it allows us to do that. But I'm been speaking to Alan as well, and he seems to think that it'd be a good idea. So I just want to drum up a bit of support and show what's there, and do my little bit for the hobby, you know. So I appreciate you letting me plug that, mate. Thank you.
No, go for it. And yeah, everyone watching, again, you know, anything like that, you know where I am if there's anything I can do to help.
Cheers, dude.
But yeah, happy days. So this word you couldn't pronounce.
Hang on a minute, I don't want to be there yet. So it's sensei, isn't it?
No.
Have I said it right now? No, I haven't.
Sensei.
That's what I said, wasn't it? Oh no, I said she, didn't I? Yeah, sensei. So someone dropped a bomb on Bloodlines, and we was looking. So let me sort of go back. So from your channel and from what you do through all the advice, etc. I got quite into Bloodlines because I was like, okay, I didn't realise that it sort of went back through that. So, but again, as the internet's such a great, powerful tool, there's actually not that much stuff on there unless you really know where you're looking, and a lot of it's crap. However, this breeder popped up on a Kahaku. I just wondered if you've got any sort of background on whether there's anything out there on this bloodline still, or whether or not that's done and dusted because it's old news.
So we're talking about Sensuke, yeah?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay, so this Sensuke, well, obviously this goes back way before my time, but again, you learn these things from the history books and speaking to people and all the rest of it. So it as a lineage was probably the one that was the biggest, other than Dainichi. Sensuke was the big lineage back in the day, and it was the first lineage, the original one that grew big Kohaku. That's where it started. That was the foundation of big growing Kohaku was Sensuke. Quite a softish, typical Benny type to it as well, quite distinctive, but it was mainly this body conformation and size. That's where it became famous and what it became famous for. So various different farms took the Sensuke lineage as they did and sort of then say develop their version of it, but they take it pretty much like what happened with Sadazo in Sankey. Sadazo, the lineage of Sankey was incredible quality, but it was the Marusho Koi farm that really took it and made it famous through their work with the bloodline. So yeah, Sensuke still, it's a massive part. There's a lot of breeders with it in their lineages, all the rest. Prominent ones, Matsue is a massive, probably the most, typical characteristics of Sensuke Kohaku sit in Matsue ones. When you could, so it's the Tsuka Sensuke variation of the lineage, and yeah, you can see it there. Benny type body. He did have a thing where it is the lineage can have the slightly bigger eyes as well, slightly protruded eyes. That is a common characteristic of it as well. But yeah, Matsue, I believe Okawa has a decent lineage of it. Hoshikin's got a strain of it, although it's not the main one, because sort of back then you'd got Sensuke, Tomoin, Dainichi. That's a lot of the big ones, the powerhouses from back in them days. But yeah, Sensuke, very, very prominent one, and still plays a part in a lot of bloodlines these days.
Who was it Sakai originally, Ricky? Did it start at Sakai?
No. It was the Sensuke I'm not sure if it was a brand name or what it was, or a farm back in the day. Never looked into it that much. Just knowing about what a Sensuke Kohaku was.
Got you.
Because that's the important thing in these. It's not knowing the history of the farm or what it is. It's knowing what the characteristics of the fish are.
Gotcha.
And obviously today now you move to your modern lineages are your Sakai, your Momotaro, and things like that. Probably your oldest serving one today, old lineages that's still prominent today, is the Dainichi Kohaku, because the farm where it was created is still in operation.
Bloody hell. See, that's mad, because looking at bloodlines and the family trees that come from that, with regards to reference, is there anywhere that you can buy material or find material that gives you the access into any of that?
No, I'll tell you, one of the best books I read back in the day was the Koi 1 and Koi 2 books by Harold Bachman. Had quite a bit, but even then it's a few pages inside that links to the bloodlines, because the information about is so little. But to be honest with you, it is a lot of the part of history now, because like I say, a lot of these lineages, I mean, Sadazo Sankey, again, just going back to it in its purest form, doesn't really. I know of one farm that was said to have pure Sadazo lineage. It's in a different region of Japan that I've never been to. But if you look at like the founder, let's say Marusho Koi Farm, where it really took Sadazo and made it famous. That was back in, so that's Marusho, who was part of NND. That was back in 2009 when they then crossed the Sakai Sankey into that lineage. Right. So, because all these old ones, they have to be modernized. This is the thing. Matsunosuke is another big one. Matsunosuke kicking around still, and the creators are there still. But if you ask me, it's why we don't see these days Matsunosuke Koi winning grand champion or major honors at the major Japanese koi shows, because it's not been modernized. Right. Therefore, the body traits of Matsunosuke, which are not, the jumbo growing fish, they're not the Sakai body style, where you've got this amazing height and incredible volume. Therefore, that is the body type that is the new benchmark that's winning all the awards. And Matsunosuke's not like that. You've got koi of phenomenal quality and longevity, but it's almost become irrelevant in a lot of ways. Yet it's not. If you look back in the history books, Matsunosuke, again, it's a massive part of Sankey. Momotaro's lineage was built off of Matsunosuke. But again, they've modernized it, and it was only built off of it. They've modernized it to get the size, get that genetics, but then they've built the body on top.
Which is
so, as much
like
as
Beppu Fish Farm, like picks up a lot of Sakai sort of fish from the parents, and then create their own, like put that into the genetics to get the body shape.
At some point, it becomes their own lineage. This is where you've got to be careful when you talk about, because you can get a lot of throwaway stuff, and this whole bloodline thing can get confusing and misleading. And certainly from sort of like a consumer perspective as well, you've got to be careful, because it'd be quite easy to, you get somebody like Nagashima, for example, knocking up Showa from a Momotaro. These are Momotaro bloodline Showa. Honestly, it means so little, because it's one guide. It's basically like part of the framework for understanding what the fish's potential is, but it's only one part of the framework, because if you've got Momotaro, yes, so we all know Momotaro Showa can grow to a meter and beyond. That's possible. If, however, there's a runt from that litter that only manages to grow to, say, 70 centimeters, and that fish is then the parent fish that, I'm not saying it is, but just an example, the parent fish that Nagashima goes and buys to use as a parent, then we know there's going to be an issue there in them offspring, because clearly that fish that he's got has genetic limitations, even though the mother lineage has got this jumbo capability. It sort of skipped a generation in that fish. And then you've got the fact of you diluting that blood further by whatever males get mixed in with it as well, because they're going to be males from a different lineage. They have to be. You don't want to get the blood too close. So, yeah, honestly, it's a hell of a topic. But I think the reason those old lineages are more sort of like the histories and understanding the real building blocks of the modern day lineages. Yes, but I think they're so far gone now. We look at everything that's sort of being used. Sakai blood is so prominent in everything. Momotaro blood is becoming even more prominent in everything. Dainichi, these are all the really, really big ones that are used in a lot of koi breeding these days.
So when we're looking at some of the parent fish, when they're like, for instance, you've got your Mona Lisa, your Super Monster, your Yellow Monkey, etc. Why is it that we're only seeing a certain amount of parent sets, like in the light, so to speak, when they're trying to sell the fish off? So, why is it only those ones? Why is there no other big names out there for us to be able to sort of sift through?
What, at Dainichi specifically, or other farms?
Well, no, just at wherever. So, I'm just using them because they're most commonly known, like the Mona Lisa lineage, etc. Why is it you only see a few when fish are being sold? Do they put in Black Zeus, parent lineage?
Yeah, because not all breeders actually promote it, because it's not of massive relevance. So what you might have, for example, is a small farm who's using a female from Sakai and a male from Momotaro, for example, and that's not actually their own lineage. If at that point, what that is a parent set, because for it to become an established lineage, you've either got to have longevity of breeding the same set together, so you're getting consistent characteristics, or you start producing offspring from, generations of breeding that set together. So again, you get some stability and consistency in it. And then at that point, it's obviously got to get some traction and get some fame for it to become something.
Yeah.
So in Dainichi's
so you
case,
add the price tag onto that.
Yeah, that's it. Because that's what you're paying for.
Then
that you're paying for that consistency at this point, which them small farms haven't got. And in these big farms, obviously they're so established, they've basically got all these subsets as well. So like at Dainichi, we know an overriding characteristic is size, body power, and with Kohaku, the Benny especially, they're overriding. But then what you might get is variations in the subsets of parents. So when you talk about Super Monster, for example, Super Monster versus Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa is a pure Dainichi lineage. Super Monster is the one where they crossed Momotaro Showa into it and started breeding it back out, you see. So this is what you're going to get. And there was the Sumi quality in the original Monster lineage was very, very different to typical Dainichi Sumi, you see. So you've got all these different, and still now, it's still a very different Sumi to the traditional Dainichi stuff.
You see, so your knowledge there, I know that you've got years of knowledge, right? But where do you get your knowledge for someone like, I know there's experience in there and you spent time in Japan, etc. But you've got to have some sort of references or a bloody good mind, photographic memory to remember all of that.
It's being there and asking questions.
Got you.
That's it. But I've always made a very conscious effort to do it because it interests the hell out of me and always has done. Because especially when you get into the length of you do learn. It's not the be all and end all of predicting a koi's future, but it's important stuff. So yeah, it's just been building like you, same as you've done. I've picked bits up over years from Sensuke, all these words. But then I've gone digging and getting my own information and background from it. And it's a jigsaw that you just put together overall. Just to give you a prime example, this was awesome. What I didn't manage to get it put, but we went to, I was at dinner with Takano, one of them wild stooping nights with that nutcase again. And he brought a friend along, and this friend's just this other little slight Japanese guy, and he's like, yeah, he's a hobbyist breeder as well, because Takano is a hobbyist breeder. And he starts talking and showing me some fish. I'm like, holy fuck, this dude's just a hobbyist. This is mental again. Anyway, not related to koi completely, but this guy starts talking about Tamasaba. And at the minute, Marushan is the sort of world-renowned Tamasaba breeder for these jumbo Tamasaba lineage that he's produced. This guy sat there going, "Oh yeah, I was the guy that made that first jumbo Tamasaba lineage, and that's what Marushan used." I'm just like, "Holy shit!" That's not. I just presumed that that's something Marushan had created. Yet you got this hobbyist guy who's the one sat there, nestled in the mountains. And that's it. He's the guy that first created this, but then Marushan took it and made it famous.
And took the dough from it.
Yeah, basically. That guy didn't care. That guy did not care. He got that kudos. He could sit there saying, "I was the man that made it," and he's quite happy at that.
I think that's the Japanese tradition, though, that they're quite happy with that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So it's real, and that was just, even now, after all this time, that's another little piece of the jigsaw that's put together, and it's only just these conversations, and that's why you have to get into some of the like the old boy Hirasawa Marase. You sit down with that guy, and he what is he, 76 now, I think. He's still at it. 76. He was first generation, started when he was 13 years old.
Yeah, you mentioned that in one of your.
It just blows my mind. That's just experience nobody can wrestle with.
No, that's true.
It's crazy, and a pioneer in producing the jumbo Chagoi as well. So yeah, you've got all these things, and then learning a lot of the traits. If we talk about the traits of certain breeders and lineages, a lot of that has just come from first-hand experience. When you've got them, you leave it in Japan. Even what it does in Japan versus what it'll do in our water in the UK is two completely different things.
Yeah.
So it's only that first-hand experience. It's how I learned that Kaneko Shirotsuori, for example, if you've got a Kaneko Shirotsuori that's showing sumi under the skin, 99% of the times it never comes. And it never did. And that was years of me first buying the dream, like, it's going to come, and it never come. So you buy, when you're buying them, you buy the Tosai with the sumi up and looking finished. That's how you do it. But even when you then move into Shiro, you get into Omasako, you've got massive variances there, because you've got, within their lineages, you've got two sort of different sumi types kicking out, and they both perform really, really differently. So yeah, it's wild.
I mean, that's quite a good link into a question that I've written down here. So into next year, I'm going to be, once I've managed to build my main pond, which hopefully is not going to be finished. Hopefully we're finished very soon. I'm then going to build some more vats to the rear. Because again, from looking at your videos and watching your Hayatsuri when you went through from small fry all the way through, that is something that really interests me, and it's like you've changed my mindset onto what the hobby is, and now I'm really looking forward to like buying small and then watching them develop over 2-3 years.
Amazing.
And then once I'm done, move them on, or keep the showpiece that I'm But one thing, so I'm unsure if you're aware, but I was down at Koi Water Barn at the weekend, and we got into the quarantine area, and Keith let us sift through thousands of pieces of different fish from Momotaro, Sakai Fish Farm, Taniguchi, etc. Mainly kahaku's in there, but there was sankis in there as well. Now, it's a bit of a minefield, I'm aware. So I'd selected out Tozai looking, in my head, what I was looking for was more looking for the body, big head, good broad shoulders, as much as you can in small fish, big pec fins. But speaking with Lee, we had a different idea of what we would expect to see a Sankey do. So, and just to keep it simple, it was a discussion of whether or not the sumi, heavy sumi that looks quite popping now, on a fish that is like 2 inches long, maybe 10 to 14 cm most. Would a fish like that, would the sumi drop off and come back? Does it stay there? does it get bigger? Or should you really be looking for one that is mainly white with black speckles that's more Japanese? Is that what you're looking for in a small tozai to grow on? It's like, and because neither of us really had any sort of agreement, we decided not to take any, because what I didn't want is a pond full of Sakai a pond full of Sankey that I'd spent good money on that I didn't enjoy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'll tell you the first place or first area you've gone wrong.
Go on.
Is looking too much into it.
Right.
Yeah, that is the mistake that a lot make, because you really can't. With these things, and there's me, the breeders, it doesn't matter who. Sometimes there's a standout fish amongst them that you go, holy shit, that could go the distance. The majority, and this is why we do so many selections, is that because we need to keep reevaluating at every sort of step along the way. So some of the stuff you said is right. 2 different sort of sumi types there, but the heavy sumid stuff can, more often than not, sort of fall off, especially in Sankey as they start growing. That sort of baby sumi just vanishes and then starts coming through later in life. But yeah, the size of fish you're talking, my primary focus would have been assessing, like you said, the body, assessing the skin quality elements, luster, kiwa, sashi, then bits and bobs, and then just giving it a shot. Because if they tick that, and you kind of half think, yeah, that pattern's quite pleasing, knowing that sumi can recede, and more often than not in them young fish is going to recede, because that's what kind of that Sakai lineage is more likely to. Yeah. If you flipped that and went more to an Izamiya Sankey, this is where your bloodline stuff can come in handy. Izamiya was built off the back of Jinbei Sankey, from what I can remember. The Jinbei had this massive, big domineering blocks of sumi, which is more like Showa. And that stuff tended not to budge. Or if it was there young, it would just multiply and get bigger. Whereas more in the Sakai stuff, and NND Sankey, we see this. It starts growing, it falls off, and then it comes back in its sort of like its real form from this side onwards. But yeah, fish that size, buddy, when I'm selecting, I'm just literally looking around the edges, because you can't be that rigorous.
When I the thing is, we have to be quite particular, because obviously we can't put 500 pieces in the back of a car.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So, you know, when you're lucky enough to be able to select through 500, although it's like the first pick, which is nice, because you get to choose what you want. It's like not many people get that opportunity, so I was like eternally grateful for that. It was a great experience. It's like, wow, which way do you go now? You know, it's like spoilt for choice. So
even then, if it's still thought, you just can't look too much into it, because the looking too much into it, you're then subconsciously starting to massively evaluate the pattern elements too much. And it's at that point that you're missing the important stuff. So that's, and it's a hard one, because you have to unwind what's so natural to your eye to do. You know, you draw and tune into that stuff, but it's really understanding them qualities and just going with that and seeing what comes, because that quality, you know, I think, again, when you're doing it with the young ones, it's more important to learn about Benny stability. So assessing Benny to know how much stability it might have as it grows. For example, because in them young fish, you can get ones where it's quite blatant that as it grows, the colour's just going to fall apart.
I've got one like that I've had, you know, started to see the Benny just disappear, to be honest.
You're always going to get it, no matter how much, you know, I still get it, you know, but the trick is trying to narrow it down as much as possible, you know, to reduce the percentage down. That's what it's all about. But yeah, honestly, it takes time, but it's really hard to strip it all back and not get drawn into that pattern element stuff too much. But that's why it can be handy as well. I don't know how you did it, but it can be handy to do a couple of selections. So I was selecting.
We did do that. We flicked through. Well, that one looks good, and then sifted through what we picked out, if you know what I mean.
So this last trip, I managed to I was lucky enough to be able to select Tosai at Momotaro, which I was quite excited to do. It had been a while, and but that was a pond that must have had, crikey, 1,000 fish in it, maybe more. And I'm aware. You know, its speed's important, because I've got a member of staff there netting the fish up. They've got all these fish in a net being lifted and done. So I want to get through them and get them fish back in as quickly as possible. So my quick thing, first of all, is bang, 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 body. Yep. And it's just a quick that one, and then reevaluate what I've got in my bowl in a little bit more detail at that point. So all the rest of the fish can get back in the pond. But yeah, that's what it's. I think that the biggest trick from where you're at is to not look too hard.
Okay.
At that size, right? Because you can't. It's sort of like that sort of 12 to 15 up to maybe 20 to 25 cm. That initial jump where so much is going to happen. So if you're at the point of buying them bigger, say 20 to 25 cm, not a problem at all to spend a bit more time scrutinizing and looking, because a lot's already happened at that point. But these small ones, if I went too much into it, you'd probably end up missing the good fish as well, because that's the interesting point. You say the ones then, the Sankeys that don't have the sumi, they're the ones that really get people, you know, and that's just understanding, what's going on. But again, what I would do in that case every time, if that's the case, and I know their Sankey where the sumi's not there yet, I just again evaluate body, skin, where that belly pattern's at, and then if I'm happy with all that, I keep it. Because you don't know what's going to happen. It needs time, and if you don't give it the time, you're potentially giving something away that can be really good in future.
Yeah,
so,
that's a thing.
You know what's really good to practice with? Some of the more sort of single coloured stuff, to be honest with you, because what that does, that starts forcing your eye to look at some of the stuff you probably don't look at in as much detail when you've got more colours and pattern on the body.
Well, that's what I ended up doing. I ended up, well, not single colour, but I ended up buying 6 Sakai Fish Farm Achiba.
Yeah.
Which apparently is quite an exclusive over here, because Sakai have never released any into the UK as far as I'm aware. So I put a bit of photographing material on them so I could play with the colours on the Mac.
Yeah,
I was quite surprised. One of them looks like it's got a really good pattern on it, and I was only focusing then on body, actually. You know, literally body. And then when you started messing with the picture, the reticulation, etc., and the scale looked really quite good as well. But I don't know what sort to expect. They're fairly dark Achiba, but I'm assuming when they're only small, like 10 cm, they're going to be a black koi anyway, and then grow lighter potentially.
Was the water warm?
12 degrees it was.
All right, no, I'd expect them to be a bit lighter then. But again, we don't. I'm presuming with that they're coming off the mango sets, because the whole mango sets at Sakai are chucking all sorts out. I say that's what I've got today. The mangoes, but I've got the Karashi. That's the one, and this is why these things have literally cost me a couple of kidneys and all the rest of it, because the mango sets he's using are chucking all sorts off. You've got Benigoys, Chagoys coming off, which is where your Achibas will have come from. There's absolutely all sorts, but the actual Karashi are now the rare part in all this. So getting them alone is what's cost all the money. If I just wanted one of the, let's call it the random load of shit that comes off the spawning, then happy days. We'd have got all sorts. But yeah, as for knowing what they're going to do, you're probably one of the first ones to learn how that particular Sakai Achiba develops, and it's only having them because there's no real breeding or lineage behind them as an Achiba. Okay. So it's not like the Afuchi strain where I know, right, the colour's going to change with the temperature of the water. Typically, they keep sort of like, a nice reddy brown, blue colour, all the rest of it. With these ones, it's going to be a little bit of an unknown. So,
okay, that's
this is it. Man. But you cannot, honestly, buddy, you're doing the best thing and just getting stuck in and doing it. Because this is the best thing. Doing this year in, year out, you will just learn. Take as many pictures as you can. That's mega important. Just so if you're not subconsciously clocking what's happening, at least then, 3 months, 6 months in between, you can look back and go, holy shit, look what happened there.
Yeah.
But stuff changes and moves. And that's what the thing, you can't then just say all of a sudden, Tech NND shower, for instance, started with the Umo shower lineage, which I knew like the back of my hand. And then even though they've still got them sets, they've gone through a couple of others since then. So there've been, 2 Dainichi females separately, one set that they've used that they don't use anymore. And then the current one with the jackhammer head that my Kindai show has come from. But again, this line has just thrown up this crazy weird Benny trait where the Benny seems to contract at a crazy rate through Nisai, Sanzai, Yonzai, to the point where I actually had a 4-year fish this autumn come out of the mud pond with no Benny on it. Completely shocked me. I'd seen the level of retraction it had was crazy, but to actually then vanish was just absolutely remarkable.
So there's no way of getting that back. Once it's gone, it's gone.
No, that fish is toast.
So that's on the,
just gonna make I need it to get rid of the rest. So it's a pretty cracking shearer story then.
Oh.
But yeah, the whole thing is constantly evolving. That's why, again, in my opinion, knowing about the really old stuff too much isn't all that relevant.
Okay.
These days, it's nice to know and it can help, but you want to more focus on the lineages at the farm that you're at, and even say these big farms, you get these subsets that throw up different quirks and different traits as well.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It's a lot to get your head around. It's a massive, massive subject, that one. But overriding, I just want to stress this: the most important thing to pay attention to first and foremost is the fish in front of you.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what parent fish it's from. If it lacks quality, that ain't just going to magically come because it comes from a top Dainichi or a Sakai lineage.
Of course not. Yeah, of course.
If it's shit, it's shit.
Yeah,
no getting away from that.
Yeah. I'm not blind to that, to be fair. But it's always going to be if it's shit for what my expectations are. Then maybe I've got to adjust my expectations or look at what I'm doing in order to achieve my expectations.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of variables to put in there, isn't there?
Completely.
Yeah.
I love the subject. Absolutely love it. Could go on and on and on, but it's a mega one. So just to cap that off, I'm gonna share now this because we spoke about Sakai a lot, and like I say, this place. The scale of it, you cannot begin to comprehend. I feel like I've got a big place and I could fit it in one corner of the main fish house at Sakai. And it's just one fish house. So I just whipped my phone out. This is a really random video, but I walked down the main stretch, only halfway as well, which took about a good chunk of time, and sort of panned it around just for everyone watching to get an idea of the perspective of this place. And bearing in mind, this wasn't the full fish house either, because you go through the big doors, they've got the new extension, and then there's all these other fish houses next to it, or the other part, over it's just crazy. So I'll run it, and we'll have a chat about it after. So yeah, every one of them ponds is about 40 feet long. And you can see it just keeps going and going and going. It's ridiculous. Super equipment, filtration all under the floor on them planks. It is just enormous. So we were there trying to find some customers' fish, and we're having to go from fish house to fish house, and it took absolutely ages. But like you can see, still not even to the end. When you look through, straight sort of through towards that door at the end, you go through there, and then that's the sort of the extension.
That's what I'd expect to see if I was in the Matrix and said, "Put me in a fish house."
But look at that. It is insane. And I've just repeated, that is just one fish house. We don't even know. We don't even know where they all are. There's one where you turn up where the office is. Well, there's multiple fish houses there. There's multiple fish houses where that is. There's multiple fish houses at his house. And like I said, these are only the ones that we all know about, because a place like that is hiding fish everywhere. Let me tell you, it's obscene.
What farm was that again, Ricky?
That is the Sakai in Hiroshima.
The Sakai.
The Sakai. Yeah. It's the guy with me said it is industrial production for koi. That's exactly what it is. When you see the size of the place, it is industrial production. It's ridiculous.
So What sort of turnover are they looking at in terms of pieces? Do they ever sort of discuss any of that with you when you're over?
No, never. It's insane amounts. But you've got to remember, there's a big focus on quality there. You know, if you had someone like Marseille with that fish house, there'd be about 100 times more stock sat in it. You know, so they need all them ponds because of the sort of raising that they're doing. You know, there wasn't a densely stocked pond in sight. You know, everything was sort of, you know, raising fish. You could see it, and that's what bowls me away there. The condition of the fish, everything. It is a remarkable operation, but it comes at a cost. Sakai is living in a bubble right now. I'll keep saying it. You know, the price of Sakai fish is insane. You know, there was a Nisai that we looked at while we were there, and it was, you know, a nice candidate for 60 boo at this year's All Japan, but I wouldn't say it had much future beyond that as a competition fish. It was 8 million yen, which is about 48 grand today's money. That's a Nisai, 60 cm, one fish in the pond, you know, and this is what he knows. He can get it for it. He has no issue spouting it out because he's going to get it for it. You know, fish like that are going for it all day long in his auctions. It's the whole thing. Honestly, it's mind-boggling. Blows my mind. It's super impressive. Don't get me wrong, but it is mind-boggling. So this is why you're not seeing the UK market swamped with fish from these farms, because it's an absolute dogfight to actually get hold of them as well. So yeah, remarkable. But I hope everyone enjoyed that video clip, and a couple more just to share with you. Again, some time at Momotaro. Again, quite an awe-inspiring place. And this pond, if you haven't ever seen it already, is their famous indoor pond. I believe it's about 330,000 UK gallons. Absolute lagoon it is. Monster of a pond. Never ever tire of seeing it. It's an absolute beast, and nothing more than you expect from sort of like the home of Super Jumbo Koi. And yeah, quite a spectacle, that one. What
size were those fish in that pond there, Ricky?
I would say between 70 and 80. Dwarfs them though. It really makes them look small. And then you move, obviously, when you're in that area. Omasako is a place you cannot ignore. Very excited that I've got a shipment coming tomorrow night, and I've got Omasako Shiro again, which I'm very pleased to say, because again, you know, these guys are legendary in what they do. Absolutely legendary in Shiro Utsuri. You know, you talk about bloodlines. What they did for Shiro Utsuri has been the biggest game changer probably in Koi in all that time. They went and took a variety that had this stout, stubby body, didn't grow, and rectified it. You know, how they rectified it, I don't know if you've ever seen the history. Way back in them early years, they crossed a showering, which you imagine the problems you can create when you put in Benny back into that. But yeah, they did it, and now, you know, Omasako consistently. And this is why I filmed this pond, because I believe if this is the one, every fish in here is sort of like 80 cm plus now. Which, when you say that and Shiro Utsuri, to see it in this quantity is a rare beast. I mean, just look at that for a pond. That might have actually been the bit youngest. They might be sort of between 70 and 80, but the quantity of quality they have there in that variety is just mind-blowing. It really is. Boggling numbers. That is absolute dream pond. Oh yeah, that was it. That's the pond actually they're prepping up for. I remember now. It's one they are prepping for koi shellfish. But I remember saying that would do me quite nicely. That if that were my pond, all that, a little Kajaku and Matsuba in there, happy days, living the dream with that lot. But yeah, remarkable stuff. So, and it's the same, mate. When you see that, you know, you see a lot of pretty much most other Shiro storyliners I can think of now, other than Kobayashi's got his lineage was based on White Tiger. Although I know he'd been messing around with Omasako fish because I was helping trying to get the parent fish for it. So, you know, most other Shiro Utsuri bloodlines now have Omasako blood in them. But are they Omasako Shiro? No. You know, so yeah, there we go. Have you got anything else lined up for me, buddy?
I was reading into the history of the Achiba, obviously, because it had got my attention from what happened at the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I was quite impressed that, you know, back in 1910, when this fish was invented, so to speak.
You're going to school me on this one, mate. I'm not much one for the history books.
What I was impressed with is that they found a new variety of koi. But rather than the single farm keep hold of it, they distributed those fish out to other farms to then breed and breed and breed until somebody made it famous, like what you was going on with there. Would they still go through them sort of traits now? Because obviously 100 years ago, the world was a completely different place to what it is now commercially.
Yeah.
Would you get fish farms working together like that to try and generate, you know, a better quality fish even now?
Yeah, they help each other a lot. So a few bits I can shed the light on with that. The Niigata Prefectural Office actually has facilities, and those guys created and stabilized the Kijiro, the Deutsch yellow and white fish. Don't get me wrong, it's not really caught on all that well, which I'm surprised, knowing how well yellow fish tend to sell. But yeah, they created and stabilized that, and then shared parent fish with farms around Niigata. So you're coming from that angle. But what you've got, and I love this, Marihiro, I think probably in his stature and standing in people's minds, people don't put him on the same levels as a Dainichi and a Sakai. Probably, yeah, in regards to Gosanki, he's not there. They are the heavyweights. However, as a koi breeder and what he's done, quite strangely, his farm's located smack bang in the middle of where it all happens. So most days you're driving past Marihiro and it's just too easy just to stop, because the door's always open. There's always people there. Stop in and have a look, because the guy's got that many fish. He's always changing around. But for me, the level of skill of a koi breeder, I think that guy is unrivaled. Absolutely unrivaled, because not only do we look at the number of varieties he produces, and it's a substantial amount. On top of that, you know, you've got core lineages that he's doing, loads of crazy stuff as well. He does all three Gosanki, does them really well, produces big body and big size to them as well. I mean, it goes on because he's getting so much off of some of these other sets as well. But then you've got Kajaku, all your Matsuba variations he produces. Chagoi, superb lineage. You know, Benigoi, Orengiogan, Ginrin variations are most of what he does as well. It's remarkable the level of stuff, and he does it all with size, because this is a big thing in Japan. And I said this about golden corn. If Taniguchi had created golden corn and they didn't have the body and growth potential that they've got, I don't think they would have been as popular as what they've become, because it's such important characteristics in the Japanese scene. And Marihiro goes and does all these varieties. I mean, he's just sold that Char Utsuri I shared as a short video on my last trip. I mean, Narita bought that. It's swimming around there. It is an absolute one-off piece of art. And I mean, what it must have been 80, 85 cm as well. Phenomenal body. This is a variety no one can really produce. And he's gone and produced one like that. You know, and yeah, this guy coming back into what you said. So this where the story ties in. You've got Dainichi, who people put up here on a pedestal, and yes, for what he does, he is. But when he decided that he wanted to breed something other than the three Gosanki that he produces, where did he go for the parent fish and the knowledge and the advice? He went to Marihiro, and Marihiro went, right, what you need, this, that, throw it all
it's
together, and here we go. Yeah. and that's what happened. And now I hear it more and more and more. You know, when I was there again last time, Mitsunori Issa walked in for a look up in the round pond. And I know what they're all there for. They're looking for that fish they can use for something. And he is the man that they all go to, because he's an absolute wizard at what he does. And I think more and more he's getting the credit for what he's doing. But I think maybe the association is more with the cheaper fish that he produces. But that round pond is the dream. You know, the mix, the quality, everything that he does is phenomenal. And he openly shares all that information. People want it, go and ask him.
That's his star. That's his star pond, isn't it? Does he sell in that pond?
Yeah. If you're willing to ask.
Got you.
Of course, trust me, I asked about a Becco that he had there in autumn, and that was one point where we went to hand gestures for the price, and I got it completely wrong. I was on a very different level. So he's not shy, but that's it. You know, that is his. I would say his hobby, his enjoyment. He's not a guy that needs the money, you know, because typical Japanese, he lives like he has nothing.
Yeah.
And he's just always working, so he has no time to spend the money that he produces, that he makes. So that collection of fish, it's like take it or leave it. You know, I'm dead happy with these. I've not really asked if I sell them, and I know that char up Sorry, I know I think it took Narita, from what he told me, like 3 days of negotiating solid to get him to relent to sell it.
Bloody hell.
And it was all on Mariero's terms as well, believe me.
Yeah, well, he held all the tickets, mate, didn't he, to be fair?
Absolutely. But yeah, coming back to it, that collaboration, yes, is still there quite a lot. Obviously, the moving and passing around of fish, not so much because of the biosecurity elements to it all these days. But that, again, yeah, someone like Dainichi going there, right, what do I need? Yeah, here you go, bomb, 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 bomb. And the Botan line is born. There we go. Yeah. So,
that's pucker.
Crazy.
It's just mad that, you know, going from, you know, for my journey, it's like keeping koi or water. So you then turn out to then actually learning so much more in the space of, I don't know, what's it, 12 months since you've been broadcasting now?
Yep.
Yeah. You know, to me, mate, and I know reading through a lot of these comments that have been popping up, you know, I think you're making a big deal to people that really want to know about stuff, and there's no one else that we can leech onto, you know. And the reason why I'm saying that, Ricky, is not to blow smoke up your ass, mate, to be honest, right? There isn't many, if any, people that do what you're doing, and I know that we've got the keyboard warriors out there that look to slay a dragon, right? But to be quite honest, mate, they're few and far between, and it doesn't matter what they say. I'm saying keep doing what you're doing, because you're making a difference, mate.
Yeah, no, good. I'm glad, and I appreciate you saying it, mate, to be honest. And that is just, you know, it was quite nice this time, just a character I've not seen for a while, and this is, you know, where this comes from. Marido. So it was at Marido because the client I would have bought a pretty amazing kohaku at Narita's event. There was a Marido fish, and he sort of sat down and just for shits and giggles, because I got a picture previously, was there with Chikara from Nogami as well, because they're all very local to each other. And we'd had a laugh because I got this picture of me and Chikara when he was 15, I was 17 when I was there working with him, because I'd pretty much grown up with him. And then I got this one that he's sort of like, they're having a laugh with that, and I went, hang on, I've got one of me and you when I was 12. Absolutely incriminating picture, because something else. I'm in me oversized clothes that my mum always used to buy for me, and he's there. But that's you know, back then at that point, then he's like, God, you know, it's been 20 years already. So it's a vast amount of time that I've, you know, just been heavily involved in it, and honestly, I'm very passionate about sharing it as well. You know, that's for me. If people can learn and get, you know, grow in the hobby, it benefits everybody all around. So yeah, definitely, appreciate you saying it, mate.
No, I do, mate. That's right. I'm going to ask you one last question, because I know it's going to your hour.
Go for it.
BKKS Koi Show.
Yes.
Are you entering or?
No.
I did text you, but you just totally aired me, mate. Are you not going for it? Are you allowed to go for it?
No, I mean, for me, obviously, and this, I will say this, quite happily say this, hats off to them for introducing it. Absolutely think it's superb. I'm glad to see that development there. I hope the dealers support it. I'll be backing as many of my dealers as possible to support it. My only issue is I'm handing over my biosecurity measures then to somebody else, and I'm not prepared to hand that trust over.
Yeah,
I feel like as much as I know they do a very good job with all that stuff, as I see my position in all this is I supply so many fish to so many places. I have to be the most responsible of all. So I've got to, if I can't extend and control it how I want to control it, unfortunately for me, that's not a risk I'm sort of prepared to take, given my sort of standing and position in things. But again, I'll reiterate it, absolutely hats off for them to setting it up. And again, I'll be plugging it to as many, because again, it's something that wants to be supported. So fingers crossed it does. I don't know too much more about all the ins and outs of it either, because I'm not very involved, but love the idea of it, and fingers crossed it gets the traction.
Yeah, me too, man. It'd be nice to see what the dealers can put on the table, so to speak.
Absolutely. Although, yeah, it'll be interesting, very interesting, and it's a different slant. I think one slant. Not a lot of dealers are actually raising fish, because it's a very very different slant on things. So it'll be interesting to see if then something like this has the potential to really change things. Because if shows the shows in Japan can really set things on fire for a breeder. I remember Kano in his early days was like this Goshki breeder that no one really gave a shit about. Then all of a sudden, Ryuki sort of takes him under his wing. He wins a few top awards at All Japan. Next thing, you can't buy a fish there.
Yeah.
It's mental. Yeah. And that's why I sort of stressed when I started all this content, whatever it was a year ago, why them shows sort of needed a shake-up, because they can impact the industry in such a massive way. So you never know, something like this, because it's a nice marketing platform for a dealer to showcase the quality of koi they have, but then also showcase their skill. So yeah, for me, don't get me wrong, I'm gutted really that I can't participate, because I love it. Well, I can, but again, it's with genuine reasons why I'm not. But yeah, and it'll be nice to see how it all plays out.
To be fair, it is July.
Yeah. It's just one I've got to be, like I say, I can't fully control it myself, so I see it as a risk.
Fair play, mate. But
there we go.
Cracking episode, mate.
Yes, pleasure having you on, buddy. And just for anybody, if they weren't here at the beginning, when we started having a chat, I have invited Crafty up to my place to come and film some content, and also select a koi that we're going to be auctioning or raffling off. Again, we've not decided, for him to donate to one of the vets charities. Something I'm keen to support. So stay tuned for that, guys. And I'm going to want everybody's support as much as possible on that one. And the last one, stay tuned for the announcement, hopefully between Christmas and New Year. Anybody who gets any koi pennies in the stocking, hang on to them, because I'm sure you're going to want to be involved in what we've got coming up. Other than that, have a good Christmas, everybody. We're not going to be, so just to say, obviously next week, we're not doing a Q&A or an auction, letting everyone know downtime, including myself, but we'll be back with everything in the new year. So, thank you very much, folks. I'll see you all soon.